What is going on, everyone? This is the Kid, DC Wrestling, back at it again with another video. And tonight is your November 1st Monday Night Raw edition. Now, before I get into this Monday Night Raw review, I first need to say, make sure you like, comment, and most of all, make sure to subscribe to the channel, man. We're currently on the main goal is to get to 500 subs, but right now we're at 467. We're trying to get to 470, so that would be much appreciated. And like I said, like, commenting would also be much appreciated as well. Now, overall, if you want my overall description on what was Monday Night Raw tonight, I thought overall tonight was... I actually thought tonight was a pretty decent episode for Monday Night Raw. Yes, I know people crap on Raw a lot, but as far as tonight goes, I thought tonight was solid, to say the least. Now, we kick things off with a Raw Women's title match, Bianca Belair versus Becky Lynch. Solid match between the two ladies, man. They were going back and forth. But of course, near the end, Belair was trying to go for the KOD, but Belair gets sent right into the exposed turnbuckle that was set out previously. And of course, Becky uses the handful of tights to roll up Belair. Becky Lynch retains her Raw Women's title. And of course, we see later on in the night that Becky's like, I mean, who else is there to beat me? You know, like she's beaten, Belair, and she's also noticed how the crowd's been booing her and stuff because they're fickle, that I'm better and I'm just amazing. I'm the man. And that's where Liv Morgan shows up during the interview. So it looks like we're going to be getting a Liv Morgan and Becky Lynch feud, which is actually pretty cool to see, especially for someone like Liv Morgan, who many people consider to be, held back and should be in the ranks. So this will be good for her. Now, the next match after that, we see Rey Mysterio versus Austin Theory. These two have a pretty good, solid match, but we see how Rey puts, near the end of the match, Rey is putting Theory in position for the 619, but Dominic slaps Theory, as Theory's been just going at Dominic pretty much the whole match and stuff like that, getting in his head. And of course, Rey nails the 619, but of course the ref will catch Dominic in time, and he called for the match, so Austin won by DQ. So this is good for Austin. Austin overall on Raw has been pretty good, and like Corey Graves said, do not be surprised if Austin ends up being a champion, and I would have no problem with that because Austin Theory is pretty good, and he's been pretty good so far on Raw. Way better than his last run when the pandemic first hit, when they were doing those shows in the Performance Center. Now, we see Big E come out. Well, Seth Rollins comes out, and he talks about the contract and all that, and, Big E and stuff like that. And that's where Big E comes out, and Big E's like, hey, why don't we have a title match tonight? And Rollins is like, you people want to see that? Oh, well, guess what? You're not going to see that because, I am not even 100% ready to compete, especially after last week's ladder match. That's where Kevin Owens comes out. He's tired. He hears all this stuff about how Big E has a strong claim that he's the face of Raw. You have Bianca Belair and Becky Lynch say they're the face of Raw, but y'all are overlooking one man, and that's me, Kevin Owens. Kevin Owens just comes in, and Kevin Owens got a really good promo here, and he says about how, it might take him 3 more months or 3 more years, but he will continue to give it his all while he's in WWE. That line is very, very, very interesting, considering that Kevin Owens' contract is reportedly up by, January, February of next year. So really, really some detail there from Kevin Owens. And then Kevin Owens like, well, hey, I guess since, Rollins doesn't want to fight tonight, Big E, you and I can face off. And Big E is like, all right, playa, but just know, this ain't no Mount Rushmore, which is another hint, when Kevin Owens was in that little stable, the Mount Rushmore Pro Wrestling with the Young Bucks and Adam Cole. That's from PWG. It's online. You can look it up. But after all that great segment, we see a tag team match. Playa, the women tag team champions, Nikki ASH and Rhea Ripley versus Carmella and Queen Zelina Vega. And surprisingly, after what was a kind of short meh match, it wasn't that short, but it was a meh match to say the least. Zelina and Carmella get the win. Zelina and Carmella were able to distract You know, Nikki ASH as Rhea was in, you know, the barricade hurting and stuff, selling the hurtness. And Vega was able to turn to a cold red for the pin. So expect to see Zelina and Carmella getting a title opportunity some way down the line. Now, we get Finn Balor versus Chad Gable. And actually, what was a pretty good match for the two men. These two men are just going in and in and in. But of course, Gable was to hit a huge suplex, but Balor holds him down on the mat, turns him for the cradle for the pin. Really, really, really cool. Just all around great match between the both men. A lot of people have been saying that, and I absolutely agree with. I think someone like Finn Balor and Chad Gable would be really good in the mid-card U.S. title picture. I think that they could be some great challenges for someone like a Damian Priest. But of course, we saw with Damian Priest tonight, which we will talk about after we get to this other tag team match play of the Street Profits versus Robert Roode and Dolph Ziggler. These two go at it. These two teams go at it, trying to pull out stops, wins. But of course, in the end, Ford was distracted. As Omos was marching to the ring, Ziggler takes advantage, and the Dirty Dogs get the win there. And Omos is just destroying everybody. I mean, he's destroying the Street Profits. Riddle's coming over. Riddle and Randy were on commentary. Really nice new theme from RK Bro as well. But long story short, Omos just beats up Riddle while Randy is like, this is ridiculous. Orton's taking all his stuff. He's ready for a fight. And then for some odd reason, as Orton is about to fight Omos, we get a cutaway from last week. And now we give a no DQ match between U.S. champ Damian Priest versus T-Bar. And this is actually a pretty good match, to say the least. Damian Priest hits the Reckoning, drops him on his head. Great sell from T-Bar for the win. And Damian Priest has been really good so far as U.S. champ. I'm loving it. But of course, we see Commander Aziz and Apollo Crews come out. And Apollo Crews just comes at, he and Aziz has come to breathe new life into Raw. But do not worry, Priest, because they will become acquainted soon enough. And basically, Crews says Priest will lose the title. So this is setting up Crews and Priest for the U.S. title. Should be good there. Now, we get the main event match, man. WWE Champ Big E versus Kevin Owens. This was a non-title main event. Kind of low-key hoped it was for the WWE title, but it's okay. Non-title. For a title, this was a really great match. Both men just pulling out the stop, man. Just going at it, especially with the time they were given. But, of course, in the end, man, Seth hit a cheap shot on Big E. Kevin took advantage, but of course in the end, Big E was able to get the W over Kevin Owens. Now, we see, Big E getting upset over Kevin Owens, like, bro, like, why would you do that? And Kevin Owens was like, dude, like, I didn't see. And then Kevin Owens goes at Seth, barks at Seth, and basically challenges him to match for next week. And, Big E, and while Kevin Owens is apologizing, Big E's like, I'm not taking this anymore. Puts him in the big ending, and that's how Raw ends. Like I said, this was a solid, decent Raw, to say the least, and really good main event from both Kevin Owens and Big E, and that was Raw tonight. So I hope you guys enjoyed. This has been the Kid DC Wrestling. Like, comment, subscribe to the channel. Be much appreciated. And so, yeah.